I used to go to a different school in a different town. It was more of a conservative town. I guess there's a lot of church influence, and it influenced the school a little bit. So it was hot one day. It was the end of the year, and it was, I think, like plus 30. Like, it was up there. So I was wearing like a dress, and it was 3 fingers wide. But I guess one of the teachers, she came up to me and she's like, "You're not allowed to wear that, you're showing too much shoulder." So she sent me home. I used to live in the country, like 20 miles out of town. So she made me drive home and then change, and she watched me for the rest of the day. And the next day I wore shorts that were mid-thigh, and she told me to go change into sweatpants because they were showing too much thigh, and she thought it was inappropriate for all the boys at the school. Not telling girls to change, but more like telling guys not to look, if that makes sense. Guys would like sag their pants so you could see their underwear, or they'd be wearing muscle shirts, but like I'd never seen a guy being sent home for anything. Like, I felt like I should be more worried about what I was wearing instead of my education.
Hi, my name is Logan. I'm in grade 11, and I have cerebral palsy. So, in grade 6 in my elementary school, we used to go to Crescent Park to do a sort of like a mini marathon, and we went with a bunch of the other schools, and my gym teacher was she was kind of like recording who went where and like what you placed and whatnot. So one year I decided to do the marathon, and I actually did really well, and our school got medals for the first 20 kids to finish, and I actually came in 19th, but my gym teacher held me back and waited for a few more kids to pass before I crossed the finish line, because in her mind it wasn't fair that I could finish in the top 20 and take it away from someone who was more deserving. Alright, so for me, that was incredibly disrespectful, and I deal with things like this really often, so it wasn't a huge shock to me, but it was just the fact that it came from someone who I thought should be respected and like listened to and had my attention, and just completely threw it all out the window. And I was really upset with what happened, and so was my family, and we ended up getting into a discussion with the school, and it was kind of man, just talking about it makes me kind of angry, but I mean, at this point, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling. I think for one, she shouldn't have held me back. It's just not the right thing to do, and to show that people like me don't deserve something like that is just completely disrespectful and completely discriminatory, and for other kids that would see something like that, it would make them feel bad, and that's just not what I want to do. Nobody really made a huge deal out of it, because it was kind of just it was kind of like I was standing there, and a lot of people probably didn't understand the context of what happened, but for me and my family, we reacted about as much as I thought we would.
One time I was walking down the street, and it was like midday or whatever, and I was walking with my friend, and this car slowed down beside us, and there was these 2 men in there, and they were like following us for a block or so, and then finally we like stopped and we looked at them, and they were asking us, they were like, "Oh, like, what are you doing tonight? You guys gonna come out hang out with us?" And I was probably 16 at the time, she was 17, and these men were close to probably 25 or older, and I feel like at that point, even being 15 or 16, I was already so jaded that I was like, like, I'm not hanging out with you, and I kind of brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal, but in reality, that's a really messed up thing to do. Like, you can clearly tell that I'm young. You can clearly tell that I am not 18 and that I'm, you know, like I'm a kid. So the fact that someone felt that they could approach me was really scary, I think. And the fact that I was already so used to it by that age shouldn't be occurring, you know, like that shouldn't be okay. By the time I'm 16, I shouldn't be like, oh, like here's another creepy guy. But sadly, that's the thing that girls have to deal with all the time. I remember this one time, this girl that I was, I'd probably say best friends with at the time, I had just started doing my hair in braids, and it was kind of transitioning out of doing relaxer, and that's a whole nother thing. Black hair is something that distinctly stands out of someone's features, whether they're mixed, whether they're black, and so to have your ethnicity, to have the fact that you're different displayed and be so obvious is, you know, like it's not something that I can hide. And my hair, I take pride in it. Right now I have pink hair, as you can see, so I'm clearly like over any issues that I had with my hair. But at the time, she said to me, we were walking, and she said to me, you know what, like your hair and your braids remind me of Medusa. You know, obviously for those of us who know Greek mythology, Medusa was a young girl who was cursed, and so her hair was turned into snakes, and her hair could turn people into stone if they looked at her in the eyes. And obviously that's not a great thing to be compared to, and you know, snake hair isn't exactly, no one ever goes to the salon, they're like, ooh, snake hair, I want that. So I was really upset with her, and I told her, I was like, don't ever tell me that, don't ever say that to anybody else too, because that's really rude, and it makes me really, you know, it could make somebody really insecure. And as a black girl, hair is already a big enough issue, and it's, you know, it's such a polarized problem as it is. You know, I don't need somebody who's that close to me making me feel insecure. And for some reason, for a lot of people, my ethnicity comes before my personality and who I am as a person. And you know, like a lot of guys can't see themselves dating a black girl for whatever reason that may be. And you know, if you ask any black girl, at one point in her life, at the very least, she's been into a guy, and he's like, sorry, I'm not into black girls, I don't date black girls, which is just, to me, it's really irritating and frustrating, because that just means that he's generalizing and stereotyping an entire race. And by saying that you're not attracted to either black girls or black people in general, you're saying that that entire race of people looks the same. You're saying that all their features are the same, and that you find an entire race of people unattractive, which is a form of racism.
I don't know, maybe like a smack. I feel like that would be the solution, because I was ready to hit him. Okay, I'm Taylor, and an experience I've had with racism and homophobia. This one day I was on the school charter coming home from school, and I'm just peacefully reading my book, reading Harry Potter, and so I just hear some guys talking in the back, as they always are. They're like probably in 11th grade, really rowdy, pretty annoying. Them using the N-word a lot, and obviously it like really irritates me, because none of them are black, none of them can be saying that. So like I just kind of ignore it for a while, and then I hear one kid yell it out the window, and that's when I got really upset. I turned around, and like I was using some swears, definitely, but I just said like, what the hell are you saying? Like, why are you using that? You have no right to say it. And I was looking at one kid specifically, and he was saying, oh, it's not even me, it was the one black kid on the bus. And this kid was actually not black, he was actually Indian. And I thought to myself, why would someone feel the need to say that word, first of all? Yeah, and I just got really upset, and it was just awful. And then I was looking at the one kid who I was talking to, and he's like, oh, I wasn't even saying anything, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, well, yesterday I heard you yelling around the word faggot, and you were using that pretty loosely yesterday. He's like, so? What does that matter? And yeah, we pretty much just verbally fought for a while, and I got really upset at him. And By the end of the conversation, he basically told me, so what if I'm homophobic? And it was just really eye-opening to see that people our age in our school feel the need to talk about these issues so loosely, and they can just say whatever they want super ignorantly, and just they think they're so far removed from these issues, but people are hurt by them. Like, it's just unbelievable to think that I go to school with these kind of people that just don't care what they say and think that it doesn't hurt anyone, but it does. It's difficult to think that there is a solution because of how ignorant this kid was. Like, he was sitting with a bunch of his friends in the back, and it was just me getting angry at him. No one else was saying anything. And yeah, they were all like laughing along with it and thought it was funny, and it's just, I feel like everyone always says the solution is awareness, but I mean, there's a lot of awareness in our school that goes around, and it's hard for me to believe that someone, I mean, obviously there's changing in some aspect, but you can't monitor what goes on in public, you can monitor what goes on in school, so I don't know, maybe like a smack. I feel like that would be the solution, because I was ready to hit him.
Really likes to make fun of religions, and because I think media is so into like exposing yourself, making yourself, look like other people, that when you see someone who, especially in this day and age, when you see someone who's covered, or when you see someone who is embracing the religion, it's weird, kind of. But yeah, the way that people treat others has changed drastically, especially because they see me and they see my religion, and I'm not hiding anything. So my identity is fully exposed, and I think that's really looked upon in a negative way sometimes. Some people don't, because of what media have portrayed about Muslims, they think that it's being a Muslim is shameful, which I obviously don't think so. And I think that for me, it's hard to live everyday lives. Being down the streets, and some man came and he coughed on her because she wore the hijab, and he's like, you deserve to be coughed on because you're dirty, you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist, just because she was fully exposing her religion and how Muslims are portrayed. They think that they're dirty because of because we're like villains, because we fight, because we do that, but people don't see what the other effects are. There's millions of Muslims like myself who are striving to live just because of what people say we are, even though we're not who they think we are. And some people don't know how to react, or if they do react, they react in a negative way because they see me as different. And for me, I'm okay with that because that's what I've been grown up with. But for most people, it's like, do what you see on TV, do what your friends do. And for me, it's like, if my friends are doing something I don't like, then I'm not gonna go follow them just because they're my friends. A true Muslim is someone who's really pure, someone who, like, the meaning behind Islam is peace and serenity. So we are a nation of peace. We like to make sure that there's no war, there's no like conflict between nations. Obviously, I feel that it's unfair, and when I see that in the news, that a Muslim is doing this and it's so bad, but when a white person or when someone who isn't Muslim is doing the same thing, and it's like, oh, it's okay. There's a reason behind it. There's a mental issue, or there's something wrong with their family that's affecting them. Like, it makes me feel that I'm not even human. I'm not even part of the race.
Especially in the summer, I find that you get a lot of like construction workers coming in, and like some of them are really nice, but once in a while you'll get kind of one that's a little bit rough around the edges, so to say. And like I remember one time a guy came in, and he would not take his eyes off me. Like, he just like kept eye contact with me the whole time I was scanning his groceries, and like he started being really chatty and like asking me really personal questions that I didn't feel comfortable with. And I was feeling like I was fortunate that there was like a dividing, like the counter divided us, because I was happy that he couldn't like see the rest of my body, because he was just like looking at my face and my chest, and I didn't feel comfortable at all. Especially this one man, he would often start talking to me about really personal things that I just didn't feel comfortable with, and I didn't want to say anything at the time because I was afraid that he would go to my manager and complain about my manner, how I was with him. Another time, actually, a man came in and I was focusing on my work. I was scanning groceries, like that's what I'm supposed to do, that's what I'm paid to do. And there were two men in line, one an older man, one a younger man. And the younger man said to the older one, "She'd be a lot prettier if she smiled more often, wouldn't she?" He didn't say it to my face, he said it to someone else in line, and that's what I took issue with, like kind of ignoring me and saying that I'm not relevant and that I'm just another like pretty face that could be made prettier if I smiled, but like that's not my job. I'm not paid to smile at you. I'm not paid to make you happy because with my face. So I actually did say something to him as he was leaving. He was completely taken off guard, and he kind of just came back with a quick retort, and later on I worried that he would go to my manager and complain, but fortunately he didn't. I feel like if it was one of my male co-workers in that situation, that it wouldn't even have crossed his mind. And male construction workers, they don't look at my male co-workers and ask them personal questions and say gross things to them. So I really feel like it's an issue of gender equality. I feel like if you really talk to people and tell them, you know what, this is not okay, this is not how you treat other people, like this shouldn't be how you treat people. You have to treat everyone equally, no matter what their gender is or their race. But I feel like it would take a long time for that to come into effect, unfortunately, because it's kind of a shift in a mindset, basically. Like, you have to really change your thoughts and views
about racism. So, I don't know, I can't remember how old I was. So, I was shopping one time with my family. We were going for groceries, and we were just running through the aisles, and like me and my sister and like a family friend of ours, and we're just running through the aisles, and like we stopped and we were looking at something, and this one guy just walked straight into us. Like, he saw us and like purposely just walked into us. And then my mom's friend said to him, like, "Do you not see two kids standing there? Why are you just gonna walk into them?" He said, "Why are you talking to me? You need to go back to your country." The only person that can actually say that to me is an Aboriginal person, because you are not from this country, really, technically. So I was really upset, and I still don't understand why it happened. It was really confusing to be that young and have somebody say that to you just because of the color of your skin. Like, we're no different. With backhanded compliments, that's like, "Oh, your hair is really nice. How did you do that? How did you get it so straight?" Or how did you, like, they're almost like wondering, "Why is your hair not so nappy?" Like, it's just the undertone of the way they ask a question. And like, also, if somebody says, "You're really pretty for a black girl," like, so you're saying all black girls are ugly and you're just the pretty one out of the bunch. You speak very well. Your race has nothing to do with the way you articulate your words. Ignorance, that's a big thing, you know? Especially in our school, that I feel very strong about racism, and I don't want people to look at me and be like, "Oh my god, she's the black girl talking about race." But like, it's a big issue. Like, people don't take race seriously.